Welcome back, beautiful people. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Now, welcoming back to my digital world, we have an incredible segment coming up. It's brought to us by Tempest Network, a Burkan World project. We have Barry Finklestein, head of North American Business Development at Algorand. Also joining us is Matthew Green, CTO of OG2D, the original 2 Digital Corporation. Now, if you go to OG2D.com, you're going to discover a platform that connects passionate fans with 100% authenticated and original NFT collectibles in art, entertainment, and memorabilia. One can buy, sell, and trade 100% original authenticated NFT collectibles within a unified and safe ecosystem. Today, we're going to be chatting NFTs, film, cryptocurrency, and how Algorand is making their mark. Now, before I bring on my panel of experts, let's chat carbon neutral NFTs. The tone. This is what makes crypto art so environmentally unfriendly. Over its life cycle, the average NFT will accrue a stunning footprint of 211 kilograms of CO2. Okay, that's equivalent to driving 513 miles in a typical US gasoline powered car. But since they are built on Algorand, each NFT created on OG2D offsets virtually untraceable emissions. And this is key. For those unfamiliar, Algorand is a decentralized blockchain technology network with its native currency being known as Algo, ALGO. And according to CoinMarket, Algorand is the 34th largest cryptocurrency in terms of market cap, meaning the total value of all the coins or tokens on the network. Now, they are fast, simple, and very cost effective. They offer highly competitive fees of around 10 cents per NFT minted, leading blockchains note can cost up to $1,000. Now, it's also powered by some of the fastest transaction times, and this is very important in where we're headed today in the digital process. Experts predict that NFT will shape the future of the entertainment industry, giving different perspectives to blockchain investments and contributions. Here to dive right into this conversation are my panel of experts. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Happy to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Barry, I'm going to start. Actually, you know what? Let's start with Matt, since we'll go to the Beyond the Border, which is Burkan World's first media division project, and it's the first crypto-funded documentary about cultural inclusion. Just a quick overview for our listeners. It's the story of 2 Europeans who spent a few weeks on a vacation in Afghanistan with the aim of giving groups of girls and boys as many snowboards as possible so that by practicing a sport, they can continue to think and hope for a better future. The premise of the documentary is inclusion, which is very timely. Now, OG2D seems to be ahead of the curve here. What role will they be playing in taking Burkan's documentary Beyond the Border to the next tech level with NFTs?
I think we're going off the theme of the documentary itself, which is, I mean, the documentary represents cultural inclusion. And I think that NFTs in many aspects can represent inclusion on a global scale. Like unlike a specific art piece at an art gallery where you have to, that art gallery at a certain time, doing a certain thing in a certain place, the opportunity to tap into these NFTs, especially Beyond the Border, being a documentary based in Afghanistan, that you have the ability to tap into a global world as long as you have internet connection. And so OG2D in partnership with Birkin to be able to create this NFT allows the global world to be able to play a role in achieving this and in getting that connection to a piece of something that they feel included in. And that's what this is about, a cultural inclusion and taking that next step to allow global inclusion for people to participate in.
Love it. Love it. I love how it's all coming together. Barry, I'm going to throw this one to you. NFTs are typically interoperable. This means that they can be exchanged or traded across different, and this is more for advanced content, but DLTs with relative ease. DLTs, guys, for those of you that are just listening, distributed ledger technology is a digital system for recording the transaction of assets in which the transactions and their details are recorded in multiple places at the same time. Now, Barry, Algorand's robust underlying technology ensures this interoperability, very user-friendly among developers, playing a very pivotal role in why many cryptocurrency aficionados anticipate it overtaking Ethereum as the leading blockchain network. Can you go into detail in terms of so while Ethereum may have a first mover advantage, it may end up playing catch up with Algorand. And you are at the forefront of this movement. How does Algorand manage to be so competitive in pricing?
So you hit the nail proverbially on the head's end, which is they do have a first mover advantage. They were around for 6 odd years before Algorand even launched its mainnet, which is now only 2 years old. If you look at the growth of where Algorand is now after 2 years versus where Ethereum was after 2 years, it's pretty dramatically different. We significantly greater growth. We had the luxury of being able to look at all the things that had been developed both on the Ethereum network and other smart contract platforms to decipher out which were the good points, which were the bad points, and how to improve on the things that were problematic. And the first and foremost thing to do is to know that Algorand is built by a team of scientists led by Silvio Macaulay, the Turing Award winner, which is the Nobel Prize of Computer Science, and his team of MIT students. And we have a company that has 50, 60 different engineers, computer scientists, mathematicians, and cryptographers that are constantly upgrading the system. That system is run on a pure proof of stake methodology, and that pure proof of stake methodology allows us to run incredibly efficiently. Not only is our speed, to give you basis of comparison, where we run at block propagation in under 4.5 seconds per block, which compares to something in the neighborhood of 15 odd minutes in the case of Ethereum. And if you want to really be safe about finality, they're probably closer to 30 minutes to an hour. The number of transactions we can handle per second, which runs at 1,300 transactions per second now, will soon be 10,000, and then going to 45,000 in short order, all while we reduce the block propagation time. And perhaps even more importantly, it's completely secure in that we cannot fork. It's been systematically proven and third-party verified that the Algorand system protocol cannot fork. Now, think about how important that is for an NFT. Imagine if you were buying, let's just say, the Mona Lisa through an NFT, and more than one person thought that they owned it, and it forked, and it could be multiple forks. But even if it was just one fork, you'd have a stream of people who all think that they own the Mona Lisa, when in fact they do not at all. Well, that is a death knell for the NFT marketplace. So we're fast, we're efficient, we're incredibly scalable, we cannot fork, we have instant finality, and from a cost perspective, every transaction on the Algorand network runs at 0.001 algos, which right now is roughly 0.002 cents.
Really competitive.
So it's virtually nothing. And I'll give you a wonderful example. Back a few months back, the SIAE, which is the Italian rights organization for artists, took 100,000 artists, which are on their network. Each one has around 40 different streams of royalty revenues. They NFT'd each and every one of those streams. A total of 4.2 million NFTs were created. Those were created within 5 hours on Algorand. It probably would have taken upwards of 5 odd months to do it on Ethereum. The cost at the time of doing it on Ethereum at that price on that day would have been in the neighborhood of $200 to $300 million to do that. To do it on Algorand, it costs under $10,000.
That's some revolutionary stuff that you got on your hands there, Barry.
Take all that, Zen, and then add to the point that you brought in before, that we run ourselves not only carbon neutral, but carbon negative. We always buy carbon offsets to the extent that we need to and can. We've planted literally at this point millions of trees around the world to that end, and the like. So we take all this environmentally and ecologically thinking very seriously.
Very seriously, yeah. And it's also good to point out that Algorand is built to house a scalable DeFi and NFT DApp ecosystem. And I'm going to bring this up because a lot of our users are asking these advanced questions. And DApp is an application built on decentralized network that combines a smart contract and a front-end user interface, which makes everything very vanilla, which people love. But I don't want to run out of time, so I'm going to throw this one back to Matthew. And it's going to go back to the minting process. Now, NFTs in what we're talking about, that's your wheelhouse. Let's chat minting and costs. Now, before anything, each individual NFT needs to be minted on the blockchain. It's a relatively simple and straightforward process that involves using a cryptocurrency wallet, some crypto, a little bit of energy, but the cost of minting and creating NFTs can fall into a very wide range, anything from under $1 to over $1,000, right? Case in point, there was an NFT creator. He outlined how he made 4 NFTs of famous paintings that he downloaded from the Metropolitan Museum of Art for free, and then he spent over $1,300 in the minting fees. This is why it's so important to really do your research and due diligence when choosing a platform. What should people be looking for, Matthew, when selecting the platform to mint these NFTs?
I'm saying what it stands for, is really like, what is it built on? We partnered with Algorand for a lot of reasons, like Barry touched upon, and it's what they stand for, and that's what we want to represent. We want to give a opportunity for everyone, no matter where they're at in the world, that they can tap in to the NFT marketplaces of today. And if you look at our marketplace itself, for we have 10,000 plus NFTs right now in total that you can purchase from our marketplace. I mean, collectively together, our minting costs were less than $100 for the entire marketplace. And that's what we stand for, is that we want to give you something that's fair, that's easy to use, and that you can transact with right away. And so when I'm looking at marketplaces, I'm looking at, well, how much is coming out of my pocket that isn't associated with me actually obtaining the NFT itself? After I make my purchase, how much are my gas fees going to be? After I make my purchase, what's going to happen? Algorand has given us a platform to do what we stand for, which is being carbon neutral, which is being empathic and realizing that more and more people every day want to get access to NFTs. And how can we do that? We do that in a simple, easy system where you get your transaction and you get your NFT as quickly as possible without the extra fees and costs associated with it.
That makes total sense. And, of course, we all know there isn't just one miner trying to add this block to the blockchain. There are thousands of them that are huge operations running massive networks of computers in China or the Arctic or elsewhere. And they're working really diligently trying to find the solution to each puzzle. And hence, these carbon neutral NFTs make a lot of sense, because to calculate, the carbon impact of adding this block to the blockchain and all the energy expended by all the miners is counted, of course. And that's something, as like Algorand said, you want to be you want to think green these days, because people are choosing platforms very wisely. So that's a great thing. We have about a minute left, and I'm going to throw this one back to Barry. And it really has to do with NFTs being a good investment, and how is an NFT valued? Can you give us some insight on that, and maybe even talk to us about some of the most expensive NFTs that you've seen around?
Yeah, so I'm going to actually defer to Matthew to talk about the value of NFTs. And the reason is because when I look at NFTs, I think about it a little bit differently. I think what you're referring to, Zen, is more of just NFTs as they represent collectibles.
Correct.
And it is a massive use case for NFTs, but that is not what an NFT is. An NFT is really a means by which we give authentication to something. And that something does not necessarily have to be a collectible. It can be many other things, a royalty right, a person's identification, and so forth. So let me let Matthew, who runs a marketplace, address the value proposition, because I think you're referring to collectibles in particular. I could give you my own personal, but that'd be no different than you asking your grandmother what she thinks is the most expensive or the best collectible out there.
No, totally. Matt, take it away.
Of course, and I agree with that. We're diving into broadening our horizons here, but just from a collectible standpoint, I think tapping into NFTs right now from a collectible, from a digital piece of art, is that you're getting a single representation of a collective experience. You get the beyond the border, access to that NFT. Like you're getting a single representation. You're getting a piece of that whole puzzle. You're getting a piece of what the documentary stands for. You're getting a piece of who's behind it. You're getting a piece of who they're helping out, by representing this documentary. So as a collector, I'm going in and I'm able to get access to these NFTs. Well, now I feel like I'm part of the whole. I'm not just buying one piece and that's that. I get one piece and now I'm getting action. I'm getting involved in a community of collectors around the world.
Absolutely. Hence why this project, the Burkhand Worlds project, Beyond the Border, makes total sense. Well, we have run out of time, but I want to thank the two of you for coming on because it's been a very, very interesting conversation. I learned a ton, and I know so did our listeners and viewers. Thank you both for coming on, Barry and Matthew.
Happy anytime. Look forward to being asked back.
You guys are listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WR, the voice of New York. Thank you, gentlemen. It was a pleasure. That was Barry Finklestein and Matthew Green. We'll be right back after this.